Thank you very much, Jackie. I'd like to start off by thanking Teagasc and IF4 and the British Embassy for the invitation to speak here today. It's an opportunity for us to talk about some of the things that we're working on in our business that I hope connect in a very direct way with the themes of the conference. The interdependency between countries and economies is increasing and at an accelerating rate. However, the relationship between the UK and Ireland has always been exceptionally close, and nowhere more so than in the area of food. The UK, as we've heard earlier, is Ireland's largest food and drink export market, and likewise, Ireland is the main export market for the UK, with trade in both directions of £3 to £4 billion per annum. This extensive trade between our countries goes back several hundred years, and no area has been more important than beef. Let me give you an example. In 1660, some 50,000 head of cattle were exported annually from Ireland to the UK. England's population back then was 5 million. So when you do the maths on a tonnage and per capita basis, Irish beef exports to England have actually flatlined, more or less, for almost 400 years. So in terms of food harvest and growth targets of 20%, I think there's lots that we can do with Bord Bia in growing our exports. So we've got work to do. Our business in ABP is not quite 400 years old, though I do sometimes feel that I've aged by about that amount in the last few months. But we are genuinely an Anglo-Irish business, and this is something that we have always been very proud of. We employ 5,000 people in the UK and 2,500 people in Ireland. In our various businesses, in chill beef, convenience products, pet food, and renewable energy. In addressing the question of innovation and the opportunities that exist across both islands, I'd like today to focus in particular on two themes. One is technology, and the second is the green agenda. A third theme that I'm not going to have time to get into during this presentation is nutrition. Maybe I'll have a chance during the Q&A later to touch on some important themes around nutrition given our grass-based agricultural system. We see in our daily lives how the pace of change driven by technology is quickening. While the agricultural revolution may have lasted several millennia, and the industrial revolution 100 to 200 years, the technology revolution that we are living through is occurring over one generation. We've recently seen dramatic technological progress with the arrival of the internet, nanotechnology, solid-state electronics, artificial intelligence, smartphones, not to mention bioscience and advances in areas such as DNA testing. These changes are accelerating and are critically important to the food and drink industry. For example, some 45% of QR, quick response, code usage is in a retail store. And with 50% of consumers today having a smartphone, it is clear that consumers will increasingly use technology to get closer to their food. This is a tremendous opportunity for us to improve the quality of consumer engagement. Consumers all around the world are increasingly interested in and concerned about the provenance of their food, animal welfare, and the full supply chain which delivers products to their table. And technology, including DNA technology, now both feeds this curiosity and also answers it. We have all learned significant lessons from the horsemeat scandal, particularly us in ABP. Consumer trust in the food industry Europe-wide was breached. And our business, with a reputation for operational excellence, was damaged. Not, I emphasize, in core fresh beef, but in frozen burgers and frozen meat products. And while there is no negative impact on chilled Irish beef exports Europe-wide, the arrival of new technology in the form of DNA testing generally has resulted in new challenges and opportunities that we must address and embrace. Having gone through the biggest program of equine testing of any company in the world, we've been thinking a lot about this technology and its power to impact business. But it also has the power to facilitate change, positive change. The technology of DNA testing, which brought the whole European equine issue to light, is the perfect marriage of technology and transparency, and through the two, giving the potential for new levels of assurance for consumers. ABP has engaged in DNA testing for many years, but in learning from our recent experience of the horse meat scandal and our continued engagement with new technology, we are taking a bold step by announcing today that ABP will be the first beef processor, certainly in Europe and possibly in the world, to DNA swab every animal that we process. That's close to 1 million cattle per annum. Ultimately, this will provide 100% assurance and certainty around all product sourced from these cattle. We will, in the future, be able to take any such product from any shelf or any restaurant table and trace it back through the 100% DNA program to the animal of origin. For us, this DNA initiative is about linking the first yard in the food chain, the farm gate, to the last yard, the consumer's fridge. That's 2 yards. That's real supply chain shortening. ABP will be announcing comprehensive details with our technology partner on this project in the next couple of weeks. But traceability is not an end in itself, rather the foundation, because it is here where the bigger innovation opportunity in beef is. Imagine being able to take 10 steaks off a shelf and through DNA traceback be able to immediately identify which farms, which breeds, which age, which sex, which feed regime produces the best quality product. Such a data map, our version of big data, will help facilitate what could be a quantum leap forward in the industry in promoting the role of genetic technology, which has lagged behind other sectors, such as dairy and poultry. These trends are fast developing elsewhere. For example, Harvest Mark in the US is a traceability technology representing some 400 food brands and providing a platform under one roof, providing consumer reassurance on the provenance and supply chain of the products that they buy. Similar trends are emerging in Canada and Austria. I don't believe we will be on our own as we go down this path, and I think that other retailers and processors will travel this road also. Perhaps the time is right to consider an industry-wide initiative to DNA fingerprint all calves in Ireland and the UK to create a transnational database and improve cross-border consumer assurance. Technology impacts us in a number of other areas, including animal genetics, processing advances, and palatability improvements. And we are finding ourselves increasingly engaged with these broad technology themes. For example, we are the lead partner in the UK on a research project with the Limousin Society and the Scottish Agricultural College using image analyzing technology to determine meat yields at the point of slaughter, and then matching this information with genetic information about the sires related to the specific carcass. This enables us to create an entirely new generation of breeding values based on establishing how much genetics contributes to slaughter characteristics as opposed to environmental or farm management contributions. For too long, the beef sector has lagged behind our cousins in the dairy industry in the establishment of estimated breeding values, and this project could be groundbreaking. It will establish the genetic relationship with slaughter values for a significant population of animals, and this will lead to the establishment of genomic breeding values, effectively predicting how an animal will perform based on its own individual genetics. It's still early days, but this is exactly the type of technology the entire industry needs to embrace if we are to keep pace with and or lead the industry globally. With Ambassador Chilcott here today, I would like to thank in particular the UK government through the Technology Strategy Board who have helped support and fund this important project in our business. I'd like to move on to my second theme, which is the green agenda. The agri-food industry gets a negative rap for its footprints, carbon and water. We use, as an industry, 70% of our planet's fresh water. And within the food chain, beef is often identified based on the intensive feeding regime used in the US and elsewhere as a primary culprit in terms of the amount of water that's used per kilo of beef that's produced. Also, in terms of greenhouse gas emissions, livestock's contribution is widely, if generally inaccurately, documented. I say that because the sequestration of carbon in the soil, in particular of grass-based systems, very often isn't properly measured. But these issues, just like technology, are ones that it's important for our industry to embrace. I don't need to remind people in this room about the benefits of grass-based systems, which are at the core of Irish and British beef production. Grass-based systems really do give the UK and Ireland a foundation to be confident about our futures. The product is better nutritionally, the production process is better for the environment, and the grass-based system provides a competitive advantage. For this reason, I believe Board BIA are bang-on message through the Origin Green agenda, which ABP are proud to be a founding partner of. This is the right theme, not only because it plays to the advantages of our grass-based system of production, but also because the green economy is now too big to ignore, at 10% of GDP and growing. The decoupling of resource consumption and the additional food that needs to be produced is essential to ensure the long-term success of the food industry. And there are challenges for the industry here. Doing more with less is not going to be easy. That is why, in our view, collaboration across countries and across the food industry through research and new innovative development to create a sustainable industry is the way to go. A great example of this is the excellent work of Justin McCarthy of the Farmers Journal through the Better Farm programme, which we in ABP are also a proud sponsor of. This programme has pursued the hard yards of examining how to improve efficiency at farm level through improving grassland management, reduced calf mortality, improved feed conversion weight gain ratios, etc. This programme is now being rolled out through Northern Ireland and is showing how significant improvements can be made at farm level. That in turn leads to animals being slaughtered at a younger age, which in turn can have a positive impact on carbon footprint when traced back to the primary industry. This collaborative programme between the industry and farmers and driven by the Irish Farmers Journal shows what can be achieved when a shared approach is taken. At company level, there is also much food business innovation work to be done. For example, we are investing in water projects in our business involving reverse osmosis for the purification of wastewater into potable water, as we've recently done successfully at our plant in Sturminster Newton in Dorset. Also, waste heat recovery projects from refrigeration to provide hot water at our care site in County Tipperary without the use of fossil fuels. But I'd like to outline in more detail. I'd like to outline briefly a success in adding value to byproducts. Our Alico business, formerly known as Agri Energy, has its genesis in the challenge to our R&D team to add value to byproducts, in this case tallow oil, to help underpin the sustainability of our business. That challenge was 7 years ago. Today, Alico employs 500 people and converts used cooking oil and soon tallow to biodiesel in Liverpool. It provides a closed loop where we sell virgin vegetable oil, take back used cooking oil, convert that into biodiesel, and sell that to customers who use it to fuel the logistics in their transport fleets. This biodiesel facility was opened last year in Liverpool by the Minister for Transport, Norman Baker, and this whole business, in terms of the fuel that it produces, is responsible for the abatement of 200,000 tonnes of carbon, more than the total emissions in our business. So finally, ABP will continue to work with industry stakeholders on both sides of the water to address research opportunities which we feel are significant as we go forward. These opportunities are manifest in areas such as technology and the green agenda. This room today is full of people from our two islands, but technology has no respect for physical or political boundaries. The equine DNA situation is but one recent example of this, and we as a business are responding by embracing the technology that caused us so much disturbance in recent months. Neither does climate change respect boundaries, as CO2 levels creep past 400 parts per million planet-wide. And neither does the nutrition agenda, as the developed and developing world grapples with difficulties caused by diet and obesity. For me, these are issues of pivotal importance for our industry. So while I can observe where we were on beef exports to the UK 400 years ago, I cannot forecast the future 10 years from now. But I can say the future should be one of enhanced cooperation and collaboration between our two countries and across our industry, as we jointly grapple with the forces that no longer respect physical or political boundaries. And this is how I'll aim to position ABP going forward. Thank you.